Our team coverage from Rome, Georgia continues.
Greg Glover is live in Rome, Georgia, where President Trump wrapped up his visit less than 2 hours ago. Greg?
You wouldn't believe the speed with which they cleared the tarmac behind us. It was amazing, the number of people here and the speed with which they got out of here. Behind me, they've just shut off the lights to the bleachers and everything that they've cleared. But the president was here. His supporters braved the chilly temperatures and the wind to spend just under an hour with President Trump. Rome, Georgia was his 4th of 5 rallies just today. President Trump didn't disappoint his supporters. He hit all the expected notes: his record, the economy, the virus, the controversial Hunter Biden laptop, even the debates. And though cold and tired, the faithful managed to get a few chants in there, USA and I love you a couple of times. Neither candidate is pulling any punches as we roll into Election Day here, and the president went after the former vice president a couple of times, at least over the course of his remarks this evening. He also made his final push to get the vote out for himself as a candidate. Here's just a little taste of some of his remarks today in Rome, Georgia.
No, they said, sir, you don't have to come to Georgia. We have it made. It's won. Well, by the way, just go out and vote, okay? And if I don't sound like a typical Washington politician, it's because I'm not a politician, thank you. If I don't always play, that's right? If I don't always play by the rules of Washington and the Washington establishment, it's because I was elected to fight for you, and I fight for you harder and meaner and stronger than any president. Our opponent's agenda is a war on workers, a war on faith, and a war on our great police. Biden says he's running as a proud Democrat. Well, of course, he said, I'm running as a proud Democrat for the Senate. And I said, he's kidding, isn't he? But then he did it a second time. And I'm running as a proud American.
And as we said, the 4th of 5 rallies for the president today, but he had the energy at the end to dance to YMCA to the delight of his followers out there. Cindy?
Greg, that was a pretty interesting sight to see that and hear that song. But now we're talking about 2 Senate seats, an unusual year in Georgia this year. Tell us what the president said about those races.
It's interesting, Cindy, in the other rallies today, the president made sure to call out those running for Senate, be they incumbents or challengers who are Republicans, and he did the same thing here. He asked voters to show up for Republican David Perdue, rather, to avoid a runoff. But the most interesting thing is that there are 2 people running for Senate in the same party, in the president's party, who were both here tonight, and we were going to see who, if any, he would support. He ended up not throwing his support behind either, or throwing his support behind both, you could say. You know that both Senator Kelly Loeffler and Congressman Doug Collins were in attendance. They're running not only against Democrats, but against each other for that Senate seat that was formerly held by Johnny Isakson. Here's the president's endorsement or non-endorsement, as you may think.
And I'm just sitting back and watching these two. And whoever it is, you have 2 winners. You have 2 winners.
Joy Dukes had a chance to speak to some of the faithful in what just seemed to be a sea of red MAGA hats out there. Joy, what was their reaction to what went on tonight?
Yeah, Greg, supporters of President Trump say that they heard exactly what they wanted to hear from the president tonight at the Richard B. Russell Airport grounds. Thousands of people, we're told somewhere in the neighborhood of 35,000 people were here. That's what we're hearing from people who were in the crowd. They came out to listen to him just ahead of Election Day, 2 days away from Election Day. And we spoke to several people who were in the crowd before and after the rally. And those folks in the crowd said that they were happy to hear what he had to say. They want to see him as commander-in-chief for another 4 years, and that the long waits that they experienced today as they were here in line, standing, were worth it.
4 more years, 4 more years, 4 more years, 4 more years. Absolutely. totally worth all the hours of waiting and standing in line. It was also exciting as well because all this exciting music that's going on at the same time, all that excitement, it's like seeing Elvis and you cry and you see him and you're screaming. It was worth all the waiting just to see his face.
How long were you guys here?
Oh, we got here since 1? I mean, left in the car to get here at 1 o'clock and we waited so long to be here. It was worth every second worth it.
Thousands of people who were waiting when we got here around noon, and that line that we saw when we got here got even longer as we were here and as the hours went by. Now again, there were many people here, and the one message that a lot of them walked away from was to vote. And on Tuesday, millions of people will do just that. Greg?
Joy, thanks so much. Working those lines today that stretched from the airport all the way out to Highway 27 was our Mary Frances Hoots. She found a group of future voters. Mary Frances, what was their reaction to all this tonight?
Well, Greg, I absolutely did run into a lot of excited future voters in that line of thousands just yards away from us. I saw some high schoolers, and they were absolutely thrilled with the rally tonight. And they said they know, even though that they are young, that their voice is still just as important as everybody else's.
Everything was really cool to see how many people came out for this. I mean, it was really packed and everything.
Folks, young and old, packed in at the Richard B. Russell Airport in Rome, Georgia, bearing the cold weather to support their president. Young people feel this election is especially important for them.
I mean, we're the future. You got to start it here. I mean,
it drew crowds from all over Georgia. Several high school students thought it was worth a drive from Atlanta to show support for their president in person.
I've been a huge fan of Trump, and
you don't get opportunities like this a lot.
Driving an
you
hour
get to see your president.
Not bad.
The rally consisted of Trump telling the crowd why to vote for him and throwing some heat at the Democratic nominee Joe Biden. The students thought it was all within reason.
He was talking about his accomplishments, and then he would say like a mark about Joe Biden, which kind of draw the whole thing together. I think it was a perfect speech he had.
Well, even though they can't vote, they wanted to make sure that they knew that they backed the president 100%, and they did just that. And really the entire crowd did, young, old, everyone. It was a cold, windy night, but overall a great atmosphere for Trump supporters, and I got Greg Glover standing by to wrap up the evening for us.
There are so many tight races, Mary Frances, across the country, but even in our region, and we will carry you through them all. Be sure to stay with us for continuing Decision 2020 coverage now, Election Day, and I'm afraid this time in the days beyond, we'll bring it to you. For Joy Dukes, Mary Frances Hoots, I'm Greg Glover. We're live in North Georgia, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.